Tom Downey here for College Football Now. You know we have to discuss this Nick Saban claim. We'll break it down in depth, what I think, what some other notable SEC coaches think. But before we dive into that, will Nick Saban end up ever coaching again, at least at a professional level? His, grandsons, great-grandsons, whatever, flag league does not count. Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments of today's show. All of this began thanks to one of Saban's former players. Greg McElroy, the former quarterback who played under Saban at Alabama, claims he has heard that Saban will return to coaching at some point. Here's what McElroy said on his SEC-focused show. This is a little bit out of left field. A very much in-the-know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire, they seem to think Nick Saban's not done coaching. And then after Cole Kluber kind of reacted, he's like, I had a similar reaction. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Look, if it wasn't somebody notable, I'd never say a word. I do have some issues with this line of reporting going on here. The biggest of which is, look, McElroy played under Nick Saban. He knows him very well. And unless he is implying, which is not how I took the quote, and I don't think that's how he really implied it either, unless he is implying the person in the know is Nick Saban or Miss Terry, since she kind of gets to make the calls too, he has Nick Saban's number. So if it wasn't you were talking to Nick Saban, did you call or text him? Like, you have access to the guy you are talking about. You couldn't have asked him, and he could have said yes, no, we'll see. Maybe McElroy did, but that's not how I interpreted that particular quote. Of note, Kirby Smart, who knows Nick Saban quite well from time together on staff and coached against him plenty at Georgia, at SEC Media Days today, wasn't really buying it either, saying, quote, I heard all that scuttlebutt, which is, what a classic SEC coach line, and everything about it, I almost laughed. It was like somebody needed to say something interesting to talk about yesterday, so they chose, they got Coach Sabin and went with it. The game's better with him involved. He is involved. He is passionate about it. He and I still talk and share ideas from time to time about defensive philosophies and the way to do things. He's still watching tape, and he's very involved in football. He loves it. And his brilliance, as he is around football. I mean, it's around scheme. It's around another way to do something. It's ahead of the offensive mind. I think that's one of the unique talents that he has, and he still loves that. He's still passionate about it. That is why he's doing so much for ESPN. Kirby also had this, though, which I thought was really funny. He said, make no mistake about it, the boss at home, Saban's wife, Miss Terry, will make that call for him, not him. We'll go more in depth on how the age factor plays into it here, but kind of in line with our first question from today. What do you think is the percent chance that Nick Saban actually returns to coaching? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it way higher? Sound off in the comments for me of today's show, the percent chance Nick Saban returns to coaching. I do want to make this note. Even though he does not look it at all, and I would kill to look the way he does at his age, Nick Saban does turn 74 in October. He goes to the Jim Nantz school of looking way younger than his age actually is. That's older than anybody else in college football. Even good old Paul Feinbaum doesn't think this one's going to happen. And this is a very good point by Paul, which I don't say that phrase very often. He had a better situation in Alabama the day he left than he'll have anywhere he goes, let's say next year. I don't know if it's college or pros. Could he be taught in something NFL? I don't know how, because I don't think that itch burns anymore either. But in my opinion, Nick Saban is done in coaching. My big question, at his age, at his successful career, what he's doing right now for ESPN, I question if Nick Saban really wants to deal with all the extra stuff that this era of college football has to offer. It is different. You kind of need a general manager in your program to help manage the NIL, the rev share. It's not just you are the czar of your team. You can be, but it actually becomes probably too much to manage because you now need an accountant in a way you didn't have to have one previously. So I question if that is something Saban actually wants to do, if that is a path he truly wants to pursue. Now, if he does, we can have some fun and mention some potential destinations, some fits for him. I'll say this. I've got a really fun one at the end that I think would be awesome, that I think he'd never do, but it's a fun idea. I think the only spot Saban would really pursue is probably a team that is ready to win right now. So our guy Jackson Durham on the short side mentioned 4 CFB teams: Florida State, Texas Tech, USC, LSU. The one that stands out to me mostly is LSU. The obvious ties there, some uncertainty if they're not as good under Brian Kelly. The team is in pretty good shape. FSU, I don't think the team is good enough. Like, Saban doesn't want to go take a good, not great Power 5 job and build that up for 2 years and then be 76 years old and kind of winding down the career. Like, maybe going home of sorts to LSU could potentially make some sense. Texas Tech has the money. They've shown that with the way they've spent in the transfer portal with the recruits. I would lean towards LSU, if anyone, on that group. Some more fun ideas here to come. But first, these CFB hoodies, these short sleeve cutoffs, if you want to kind of look a little bit like Bill Belichick, up to 60% off. Some massive sales going on. I know it's hot in almost every place you are living at these days. You can stock your fall wardrobe now with a perfect team-related hoodie. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/college hoodie. Put that link in the comments and the description of today's show. chatsports.com/college hoodie. Up to 60% off. There's one other team we should probably mention, and it's the most obvious, right? Isn't like Alabama like at least a 2% chance if he ever were to come back, it'd be for that. If Kalen DeBoer misses the college football playoff again, I'm not sure he will. There will be, whether it's valid or not, there will be noise. There will be buzz. There will be speculation. It is Alabama. It is Nick Saban. It's Alabama. Like, that's how it is. The bar at minimum is make the college football playoff. If Bama wins 8 games this year, there's going to be noise around it. And that would be a pretty easy return spot for Nick Saban. Coaching-wise, you kind of got to juggle some of the staff members, but all the man did was win. That's all he did. He turned Alabama into an absolute juggernaut. It was impressive what he was able to do. Even at a spot like Alabama, that level of sustained success is pretty unbelievable. Now, for the Crimson Tide, I think it would require kind of a really bad situation this year for Kalen DeBoer because that's a lot of buyout money to be paying, and they're not spending the same way maybe they used to previously. It'd be a bit of a Band-Aid solution for Alabama. But the fan base would be on board. Like, if Kalen DeBoer ever struggles, I think we all know the Bama fan base, the first name they're going to mention is Nick Saban. The second name, if Clemson has some success, is going to be Dabo Swinney. And then it kind of gets a little bit murky after that. More to come, but if you're a diehard college football fan, hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll have more college football videos for you as the season gets a little bit closer. Cooking up some other stuff as well. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. I do want to give Harrison Graham some credit over on his 4Verts channel because this one I had not thought of. I thought it was kind of interesting. What if he just does the Bob Stoops thing? What if he goes to coach in the UFL? He doesn't have to be overly invested. It's not a bit of a time crunch. It kind of lets him scratch the itch. It's at a time where he can still do all of his current college football responsibilities for ESPN. ESPN has some ownership in the UFL. That's a good way to get people to care again. Birmingham is not far away from him in general. Maybe the UFL could be a Bob Stoops style scratch that itch mindset. I've seen people mention the NFL as well. I would be surprised. NFL owners have always loved the buzzy hires. Jacksonville got Urban Meyer, right? And Nick Saban would fit that mold. If you're trying to jumpstart your fan base's interest after another bad year, hiring the greatest college coach ever would be impressive. Saban wasn't that good, though, at Miami. Now, maybe it's all different if the team didn't medically flunk Drew Brees and go sign Dante Culpepper instead. That's a great what-if of NFL history. And there are some potential job openings, like Arizona, maybe. It's all from Harrison Graham, too. The Falcons going back home to Cleveland? That would be a very Browns move. I don't know if Nick Saban would touch it with a 10-foot pole. The Giants have been linked in years past. Maybe a team like Tennessee ends up opening. But I don't know if that's the best path in front of them. So if Nick Saban returns to coaching, and I have my answer for this one in just a second, where do you think it should be? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. My pitch for Nick Saban, because I don't really think this one's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. How about we go full on, like in the Dion kind of spectrum? If Nick Saban returns to coaching, we should give him a TV show, a bar rescue style, where he has to go save a college football program, prove just how great of a coach he is. And the best possible spot for that is the worst team in college football. That is the Kent State Golden Flashes, where my dad went to school, where my mom, my sister went to school, and where Nick Saban went to school. Go back to your alma mater and take the worst football team in college football right now and make them a contender, at least in the MAC. To put it in perspective how bad Kent State has been, their last FBS win was the final game of the 2022 season. They beat Buffalo. They have not won an FBS game since. They did not win one in 2024, didn't win a single game in 2024. Their last FCS win was in 2023. They beat Central Connecticut State, which not sure that's a real program, frankly. They're a joke in the end. I think from a pure entertainment perspective, wouldn't it be awesome to see Nick Saban coaching Kent State? More eyeballs in that program they've had since Josh Cribbs, Edelman, maybe. Those guys are more NFL people. So that's just my nonsense but fun idea.